Hi, Bridgette Griffiths here from Your Address Real Estate, and again I'm with Guy Gibbons, CEO of Bennett Carroll Solicitors. Today, Guy, I'd love to ask you a few questions about deposits on contract. Is there a minimum deposit amount and a maximum deposit amount?
No, there isn't, and in fact your deposit could be zero, but that would be most unusual.
Okay.
The deposit is designed for the buyer to give the seller some comfort that they're serious about the transaction, and it really needs to be an amount of money that's too big to leave behind and forfeit. The old rule of thumb used to be 10% of the purchase price, but that really doesn't happen all that much anymore. Purchase prices of houses have gone up quite a bit, and that's a lot of money to leave lying around for even 30 days. So these days it's often a two-stage deposit, so it's a smaller amount when signing, a few $1,000s, and then up to around 2–2.5% when the contract becomes unconditional or when the building and pest and finance are approved. And normally that's the way that it works. The idea from the seller's point of view is, if you're going to buy my property, I want to know that you're serious about it, you're putting up some hurt money, and you're not just kidding me and you're going to walk away at the last minute.
Sure.
If that deposit gets forfeited, it needs to be an amount of money that would actually hurt.
Okay.
So it's a sign of commitment from the buyer.
Sure, and I suppose it would go along as well as presenting as a stronger contract. If you're a seller looking at a few different contracts and one buyer's got a substantial deposit and the terms and conditions are identical, obviously it's showing good faith and security.
Absolutely, that means a lot to sellers, to know that you're prepared to actually put that money up to say, I really want this property, and this contract, if you sign it, it will settle.
Sure.
You can get your deposit back, of course, if one of your subject to conditions fails, but as a commitment to a seller, if it's a multiple offer situation, yes, that can tip the scales.
Yeah, sure. I was always of the understanding that we couldn't put down more than a 10% deposit. Is that incorrect?
You can make a deposit of greater than 10%. There are some additional rules that apply in Queensland. It becomes an instalment contract.
That's what I'm
and
referring to.
It gives the buyer a couple of additional rights, and it affects, you might have seen that little expression down in the fine print of the contract that says time is of the essence.
Absolutely.
An instalment contract does not have time of the essence.
Oh, okay.
So there are a couple of little wrinkles that affect a deposit of greater than 10%, but it's certainly not illegal, it's not improper.
Sure.
You wouldn't do that unless you were really trying to get the seller to look at your contract as something very special.
All right, get it over the line. So ideally, a deposit, you want to see something on the initial signing of a deposit?
Yes, absolutely.
And then maybe with a substantial amount once the contract is unconditional. That's the ideal scenario, isn't it?
Yes, and the idea is that the seller knows that the buyer is not going to walk away from the contract because if the deposit is forfeited, that's too much money to leave behind.
It's going to hurt.
It doesn't need to be six figures.
Sure.
But it does need to be an amount of money that an ordinary person wouldn't walk away from.
Sure, excellent. Well, thanks so much for that advice.
Pleasure.
Thanks, guys.